Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is a long program. We got to get through this, guys. I want to first say it is great to be back on campus. This is a special place. This is hallowed ground for me, and it is wonderful to see all of you young, wonderful Columbia College graduates. You're going to rule the world. I also want to embarrass somebody. Sydney, where are you? Sydney Murray, where are you? There you go. My campaign manager. I have pictures of Sydney when she was a very young child that I'll be willing to show everybody at the conclusion of the ceremony. But it really is great to be home, and I do really mean home. I was born just a few subway stops from here in the Bronx and grew up across the river in Queens. I went to Stuyvesant High School in Manhattan, and then for 7 remarkable years, 4 as an undergraduate, then 3 as a law student, this campus was my home. This city, this university, and especially this college mean everything to me. I lived in Carman Hall my freshman year. Carman Hall, room 301A. And I have to tell you, when I found out that there's air conditioning in Carman now, I couldn't believe it. What's next, Mr. President? Hot and cold water? Now, I think you guys have it pretty easy. Unlike every other freshman, I was not wide-eyed when I arrived at campus on move-in day. Growing up in New York, I knew I had it all figured out. What could Columbia possibly surprise me with? Then I met my roommate. He was a very nice guy who was more interested in altering his consciousness on a frequent basis more interested in that than in contemporary civilization. Now, as your Attorney General, that's all I can say about that. Except that he didn't last more than 2 months. After he moved out, I got a new roommate. This time and this is all true, this time a 16-year-old computer whiz. And yes, there were computers back then. This poor student was a genius and a genuinely nice guy, but he had absolutely no social skills and no interest in anything other than computers. Before long, he was gone too. And I was one of the few Columbia freshmen with a single. I could not have chosen 4 more tumultuous years to be on this college's campus than 1969 to 1973. The Vietnam War, the rise of black consciousness, the women's movement, the stirrings of gay pride, the feeling that anything was possible, that the world could be changed, all made my 4 college years exciting and memorable. Those years and those memories draw me back to Morningside Heights on a frequent basis, no matter physically where I am. I was among a large group of students who felt strongly about the way we thought the world should be, and we weren't afraid to make our opinions heard. I did not take a final exam until my junior year at Columbia. We were on strike every time finals seemed to roll around. But by that 3rd year, we ran out of issues. I also recall one day when we got together and decided to peacefully occupy one of the campus offices. We felt passionately about the need for a place where black students could gather, and we went ahead and staged our sit-in. This became what then was known as the Black Students' Lounge and what was then Hartley Hall. The person who we had to negotiate with, and whose office we also occupied later for other reasons, was Dean Henry Coleman. In the ultimate display of chutzpah, I later asked him to write my law school recommendations. This being Columbia, of course, he agreed. He was a great and a generous man. This college allowed an impetuous, testosterone-laced youngster to express himself in ways that other institutions would have considered unacceptable, but not Columbia, and this is why I love this place. My time at Columbia was among the most meaningful and formative of my life. My memories of those years and the valuable lessons that perhaps I didn't fully realize I was learning at the time are still with me every day, and so they will be for you as well. I want you to look around at this crowd, at your friends and your fellow classmates. It may feel to you that as though these days are your final ones together, and it is true that most of you will never again be students again together. But I am here to tell you that this is just the beginning of a long, and I am confident, fruitful road that you will travel together. I have spent 30 years in law enforcement, public service, and the private practice of law. At every step along my professional path, I have encountered men and women of and from Columbia. Those sitting around you this morning will populate and enrich your lives again and again and again. You will find each others at the highest echelons of corporate America, in elective office, as judges, lawyers, doctors, directors of nonprofits, engineers, and teachers. You are now, and you always will be, brothers and sisters in the Columbia family, and I welcome you into that family. Membership has its privileges, but I really want to talk to you today about the family obligations and the family traditions. Now, although I hope that a good number of you will continue your studies, I know that tomorrow will be the last day that some of you will spend on an academic campus as a student. You may never sit through another lecture or pull another all-nighter fueled by nothing but caffeine and fear. And I know that as you pack your bags, load them into your car or van, and drive off toward whatever might come next, the last thing you want to know about is a new bond of responsibility. But that is what you must do. You are Columbia men and Columbia women. I am talking specifically about the obligation to be a servant for the public good. Now, you may define the term public servant narrowly, as an individual who chooses to run for office or to work within government. But there is much more to it than that. Public service is not a career path to be chosen or avoided, nor is it an extracurricular activity for which only some will find time for in their busy lives. I challenge each and every one of you today to recognize that you are all public servants with contributions to make to your communities and to this great nation, regardless of your career choice. You must give the people the benefit of your education, the benefit of your expertise, and serve them ably and faithfully in whatever you do. Whatever your job, find the time to do so. It is what Columbia people have always done. From this day forward, you must do your part to improve the world around you. Let us never forget that our country has only grown stronger. The words of our Constitution have only reached their full measure because of previous generations of Americans who have embraced the obligations that came with opportunity. From George Washington, who risked his life on the battlefield for an untested experiment called liberty, to Abraham Lincoln, who risked the very life of our Union in the name of freedom, to the Reverend Martin Luther King, who gave his life for the dream of equality. You must embrace your responsibilities, indeed welcome them, with the same spirit of passion and dedication that you have shown in your successful academic careers. You must dedicate a portion of your energy and compassion to those less fortunate. You must give to the children in our cities who are starved for the kind of attention you can rather easily give. You must help those who have lost their way, but who can be helped by the direction that you can easily share. You can reach out to schools, youth centers, and churches, mosques, and synagogues to spread your knowledge and your good works. And if you don't find yourself on the front lines of change, then help out those other unsung leaders already at hard work in our community. Those people who truly deserve our respect, the people who work hard and who play by the rules, who teach our children, who minister to us when we are ill, who go to work every day in search of a better life. These people are too often ignored. Make sure they are recognized and find ways to help them. We should glory in their work and in the positive effect that they have. We must find our heroes in the people who truly contribute to the betterment of our communities. And we must each strive to emulate and support their heroic efforts however and whenever we can. The person who can and is willing to teach a child to read is infinitely more valuable to our society than someone with a good jump shot. Support that person, and better yet, be that person. Now, I have no doubt that over the course of the past few months, as the end of your college career has drawn closer, you have had more than a few worried conversations with your fellow students, friends, and family. George and Stephanie and other parents here, they're worried that Sydney and others are coming home. You have wondered about your future prospects in an economy that seems to be leaving all Americans, no matter what color their collar, facing increasingly long odds and difficult times. You may even be compelled to think that your class has gotten a raw deal. Well, let no one tell you that your path will be easy, but let me tell you that this difficult time for our country can and must be an opportunity for you. Pursue that advanced degree. Train yourself in diplomacy, law, education, or foreign service. Set your sights beyond the careers that seem to offer the greatest financial rewards to the ones that will reward your soul and enrich our world. As graduates of this great institution, your task is not primarily to do well, but to do good. I say without fear of hyperbole that sitting before me today, I see the future of our nation. I have seen the impact that a group of talented, energetic men and women with a great work ethic, training, and drive can leave on the world. What excites me, though, is not your obvious abilities, but your possibilities. The prospect that you might devote yourselves to the task of building for yourselves a better country, a better world. Now, while I believe that my generation has done far more good than bad, the current state of the world proves that our work is incomplete. I implore you not to let an ounce of your promise go unfulfilled. I call upon you to aim higher and do better than my generation and those that came before. You owe nothing less to yourselves, to your families, and to society that has watched you, nurtured you, and to help you flourish. I urge you to lead by example. I challenge you to show the world that a new generation of Americans is prepared to embrace the gifts and the consequences of the great power that you will inherit. There is not one path to success in your career, for I believe that many of you will find success in all sorts of ways that we cannot even begin to envision today. Just like my 16-year-old freshman roommate, who mastered computers and put himself on the front lines of an industry that most of us didn't even know existed. But let me tell you something else from experience. Even when you succeed, there are going to be some rough days. Your task then is not only to be true to yourself during those difficult times, it is also to continue to be loving and dedicated to your families and your communities as well. I leave you with a few words written by Alfred Lord Tennyson, which are found handwritten in the diary of my most famous predecessor, Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. Tennyson writes, "Ah, what shall I be at 50, should nature keep me alive, if I find the world so bitter when I am but 25. We may not know with clarity the tests this future will bring, but graduates, as you dive headfirst towards tomorrow, I call upon you never to loosen your grip on hope. The optimism that seems to come naturally with youth need not be lost as the years pass. Hope is a precious but enduring thing. Not a blind or passive hope, but rather a confident hope, indeed a certain hope, that through our actions, big and small, positive change is not only possible, it is inevitable. This is what has driven the best from Columbia in the years past, and so it must guide you in the years coming. The time is now. The responsibility is now yours. Good luck and Godspeed."